Welcome to the In Season podcast, rated R for language.
None of us are doctors or neurologists. Things you're about to hear are opinions of people living with epilepsy or seizures. These are firsthand experiences. Epilepsy can cause speech problems, and medications are hard to pronounce, so please bear with me. Epilepsy can cause bad memory, so some stories will be repeated. I'm Pookie. Get ready.
Post-seizure in sleep. I got something here. It'll come back to me. It says, can an undiagnosed infection cause seizures? Probably had a seizure at home, and my sister found me very confused. She took me to the hospital, and I had 3 more seizures. Blood indicated infection, and I had been ill for months prior. I hadn't been eating anything but yogurt and oranges for monthly. Antibiotics made me feel so much better. CT scan was clear that I had a lumbar function and no infection seen on that. They continued to give me IV antibiotics for 4 days and then discharged me. Feeling a bit lost while I wait for a neurology appointment. I feel better but tired all the time, but that could be the tablets I'm taking. To add to that, I woke up this morning and I was sweating profusely, and I had some kind of nodule. Looks like nodule in front of my ear. When I woke up, I've never seen the word nodule, but it might be. I had some kind of nodule in front of my ear. When I woke up from the seizures in the hospital, the nodule disappeared. The nurse didn't know what that might have been. I'd also been suffering from my whole body being tense for weeks prior to that. Then checked my blood sodium, very, very low blood pressure. This person is asking for advice. Can undiagnosed infections cause seizures? Have you ever heard anything similar to like this being true?
Undiagnosed infection could result in a fever. A fever could definitely cause a seizure.
Lyme disease is an infection, and it definitely can cause seizures. So that's one that I know for sure, even though my neurologist won't admit that mine come from Lyme disease. That's a conclusion that I've reached on my own.
And we'll always encourage that you know your body best.
I don't suggest not going to get the infection checked out. But I do have something there that says possible seizure in sleep. I'm sorry if this is a silly question, but I'm kind of confused and a little worried. I was asleep last night and waking up because I was shivering and shaking in my sleep. I get this way every now and then, but tonight it was violent enough to actually wake me up, and I feel like I can barely control my body or speak properly at the time. I'm so focused on trying to get myself to stop shaking, but I couldn't. Eventually, I managed myself enough to get from the blanket under the cover, but then my head was hurting so badly, I felt like I was splitting in half. Breathing hurt, moving hurt, even the next morning. Not trying to self-diagnose, but this was genuinely scary experience, and I'm not sure if it's urgent enough to go to the ER or not. Seizures in the sleep, sounds possible. Next post says, the smell of rotten eggs. My 4-year-old son woke up yesterday throwing up, and it seemed like foam. He jumped up out of his sleep asking if I smelled rotten eggs, and that he thought Mickey Mouse was making the smell. He said he had to pee during the time, and I looked him in the eyes and could tell I could see the deviation beginning. He managed to pee upright and talked to me while he was having an episode, and he then went deeper into a seizure. I gave him his rescue meds. I ended up putting him to sleep for the night for a couple hours. He has been diagnosed with CNA 1A. I was wondering if anyone can grant some insight on smelling things, prolonged seizures. His last anywhere from 15 to 40 minutes. Oh, that's so scary for little kids to have it.
So that CACNA1A is definitely a genetic thing that leads to, so that's a genetic form of epilepsy is what it is. It affects the brain, or they make the diagnosis through genetic testing, and treatments focus on managing the symptoms of these conditions. So there's definitely no cure that they're going to talk about when it's genetic. So it sounds like the treatment would start with kind of the same boat that everybody else is in, trying different epilepsy medications, younger in life. Another thing to consider, because a lot of the medications that we can take are definitely not recommended for children in any developmental stage. So that's definitely one of the harder ones to tackle. But definitely considering every circumstance possible for their best treatment.
Yeah, but here it says grand mal aura, any meds that help. I've been suffering from grand mal seizures since I was 16. I'm 35 now. I had over 20 seizures. Not medicated, just smoke weed. Docs think they're stress induced. Marijuana, I feel, is making it worse with my aura feelings. Wondering what meds besides Keppra that work. I have a family of 5 that I need to be around for. For my grand balls, I'm having taken, what's this shit called? Oh, lamotrigine, 200 milligrams. Grand mal auras, I don't have those that I know of. And the first comment says it's a crapshoot, and each person will respond differently to meds. Tried like 15 different ones before I grew phenobarb at me, and it's TBE, one of the actually ones that work mostly, and if also the oldest one for rescue meds. I use Valtoco and swear by it. Within 3 minutes, I'll go from, in quote, oh shit, to an aura to okay, now okay. Anybody have any grand mal aura medications that they think that helps?
I don't have auras. For my TCs, I just wake up on the floor.
Grand mal aura medications. So you mean to just prevent the seizure altogether? Yeah, I used uh we're talking emergency medication or something.
Sounds like it.
Okay. Yeah, I
Valtoco they mentioned is a diazepam preparation, so it sounds like a rescue med thing.
yeah, I think that's what I use. Diazepam. That's lorazepam, right? It's diazepam. Well,
No,
either way, yeah.
diazepam is um, Valium. I think lorazepam
Oh,
is Ativan.
yeah, I used lorazepam as a rescue med, 2 milligrams.
I had a seizure. I don't remember shit. How do I trigger the memory? Don't say it's safe or I should take it easy. I know, and I don't care. Want to remember any tips? How do you make yourself remember things? Basically, is what this is saying. Any tips on how to make yourself remember things? I'll sit there for hours and not remember things. It's that hard. It's that difficult. That's my simple explanation. Sometimes things don't come back. Just got to give up.
Write it down.
Huh?
That's what I do. Just write it down. Make lists.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, write it down is good. Write everything down. I've read that multiple times today. Journal it. I still don't have a journal.
Make it a routine to go through with everything. You gotta study these things. You gotta go over it 100 times. And I think, once it becomes routine, it'll become more imprinted in your head. That's like I said, I studied for those tests, and that's how it was really, really difficult to remember literally almost 1,000 acronyms. And that's how I had to do it, was just write down flashcards and stuff. And it just routine, practice these things every day, several times a day. I know it sounds tedious and rigorous, but it is. That's what comes with the territory.
Or have a wife.
Yeah, I got something. Said meds worth than, do you think the meds are worse than the seizures? I'm gonna have to stop seizure meds. Between fatigue, memory damage, and spirit releasing ideation they're causing, I would rather just have one seizure per year. It's better than this, or checking out. I'll taper down slowly, but I'm done drugging myself. I don't suggest that. Thoughts, you guys?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
I do believe the meds and stuff are worse than the seizures sometimes. Yeah, you gotta push on. Put, like Jeff said, one foot in front of the other. Don't give up.
Every day, keep moving forward.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's how mine started out too. When I was younger, it was like, one a year or so, one every 9 months. It wasn't a big deal, and I was like, why am I taking these meds for something that only happens like once in a while? Like, I don't take like NyQuil every night, hoping I don't get a flu. Like, why do I need to keep taking these medications? So I wasn't serious. I wasn't like really taking it serious about it or anything, and I thought that like, hey, the meds are definitely worse than having like one seizure and a headache for a day or something. But then once they start to get more prevalent and more common, like in your life, then you realize that, maybe some of those side effects from the meds are definitely not worse than constantly, having a seizure or, being sore, breaking a bone because you fell over, or, having to buy a new pair of glasses because you broke them when you fell, or so many other things that once they start happening more often, you realize the mids aren't the worst thing.
Post TBI seizures. So my brother had an accident in January, and later on, like August 19th, he got his first seizure. Took him to the hospital, where private hospital could not control high cluster focal seizures. Took Lama from there and transferred him to the hospital where the surgery happened in the first place. They started 1 gram Levopil, 200 milligrams of bacosamide, 450 of oxetol. The seizures was controlled for like 6 days under observation. Once he reached home again, got an episode the next day, and we took him to the nearby neurologist. He added phenytoin, 300 milligrams. The phenytoin started this morning, and it's still evening. He again got a focal one for less than 5 minutes. I do not understand the doctor that says there is a possibility of gliosis in the brain after a TBI, but I should be controlled by medicine. Why not? It's his. Anybody have similar experiences?
Do maybe Pookie, I don't know since you're local here, but if anybody remembers the baseball pitcher Brandon McCarthy, he was on the A's for the first few years of his career. He did really well. Then he went to the Yankees for the second half of his career. He retired a few years ago, I believe. But anyway, um, pitched a fastball. The batter hit it straight linebacker right to his head. So over 100 mile an hour, you know, how they come off the bat, they measure it at like, 110, 120 miles an hour or so, went straight and hit him directly in the head and knocked him out there on the mound. And he was obviously didn't play for quite a while, but he ended up having seizures for a little bit after that. I don't I haven't read too much about him within the last couple of years, so I don't think it was like a constant chronic thing. It wasn't like what made him retire. It was just because it was, the end of his career was why he retired. But I know he was still having some seizures. I don't know his current state, but yeah, he didn't have them before. Took a baseball to the head, and that's all it took was for him to start having them.
When it comes down to anybody in the public eye, though, you can't trust the publicists. So for them to release a statement saying, yeah, this caused epilepsy, but it's not that bad. That's not the reason he's not in baseball anymore. That's take with a grain of salt.
No,
I don't
no,
see how
no.
anybody could ever get
This happened when
epilepsy.
this happened when this happened when he was on the A's, and he played like 8, 9 more years of his career. It was, yeah, he played a long career after that. He still had him like once in a while, but he had never had him before, so it was just kind of the two together was most likely the reason that he started.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be surprised if anybody in
having him.
entertainment tries to downplay any medical condition.
But
That's for sure.
yeah, definitely. But it wasn't like it was just like, oh, the next day, like, oh, I guess I feel like I retire now. Like, he had a good, he still played really well baseball after that, and played several more years.
So those of us that have been in the workforce can maybe relate to their sense of humor in this one. They're saying maybe dark humor, but on the first day of a job I seized, and the manager at the time had childhood epilepsy, so he knew just to wait it out and drag me behind the counter and put a large sign in front of me so customers couldn't see. Then when I got more stable, he just drove me home. The comments are saying a match made in heaven.
So the
Another
comments saying
funny
match
one.
made in heaven.
Yeah, that's just another comment on the funny epilepsy stories page. Somebody else is saying they went to the after a nocturnal. I had a seizure. I went to the fridge, got a pint of milk and watered one of my mom's potted plants with it. Yeah, that's probably not what to use on a plant. Mark would know more about that.
I got something here. Says, do you ever feel guilty about having your epilepsy under control? I was diagnosed with epilepsy about 1.5 years ago after having seizures for over a year. They put me on medication, which has completely controlled my seizures. Obviously, now I'm having to deal with the many awful side effects from that. Now I feel guilty saying I have epilepsy and disability in general because I haven't actually suffered seizures for in a while. I think it may be some sort of imposter syndrome. Does anyone else deal with what are tips to not feel as guilty? You gotta not beat yourself up about it. Something you cannot control. Yeah, I heard about the imposter syndrome. Haven't really looked it up. I think we've said it today a few times too.
Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon used to describe a situation where a person who is how do I say it, like perfectly qualified for something or another feels as though they do not meet those qualifications. Even though they know it, they feel like they don't deserve it necessarily.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
think
thing.
Rick explained that to me. Got it.
Yeah, like if you if you don't have enough seizures, or if your seizures aren't as bad as other people's, or maybe they aren't even really seizures, and you're in this group with all of these other people who have a real disability, and you're just, kind of pretending without even realizing it, is sort of the imposter syndrome. So yeah, I don't know. I've felt that both in the sort of professional context where uh, after being hired and graduating, meeting all of the passing with flying colors and whatnot, and getting in, passing all of the interviews and being selected. I felt like I didn't necessarily deserve the position I was hired for. Like, they didn't realize how unqualified I was for that position yet. And it was only a matter of time until they figured out that I wasn't as smart as they thought that I was, that I wasn't the person they thought they were getting when they hired me. So kind of, I don't know, take that and frame that in the sort of medical context, I guess, is what a lot of people feel in that regard. So
Yeah, that
I
makes
felt
sense. I'm
that like
glad you could at least come to terms with it. Go ahead, Jim.
oh, I was just gonna say I felt like that like with my first, I don't know, like handful of ones. Like I said, they would be like once a year, right? So it was like enough that I would still, get my license taken away, that I had to take medication, but not enough to be like a constant thing where you could be like, oh, I have, a medical condition or something like that. Like nobody would really, give a crap about it. It affects your life and takes away your license and your job and other stuff, right? But then nobody takes it seriously because it's something that only happens once a year. The only person that takes it seriously is the government when they want to take your license. Not really, but you know what? I'm being sarcastic, but yeah.
Yeah, I happen to tell myself all the time sometimes, and I had to stop telling myself to stop thinking down so much. And when I think about how bad my seizures are sometimes, and I'm like, it actually really isn't that bad. And I'm like, people who have it so much worse, and I don't think about that. I'm telling myself that this morning. That's really kind of self-doubt, telling myself to stop telling myself to not complain and all that stuff. It was just inner thoughts. But yeah, you can complain. Don't let anyone tell you you cannot complain. Anyhow, enough for me. How you doing, Jocelyn?
I'm doing okay. I'm tired, but I'm okay. How are you
That's
doing?
the good part. I'm good. I've been waiting for a little lunch break. I got this sushi here, cooling.
Sushi's delicious.
Yes, it smells
But you
delicious.
got to eat it before it gets warm.
Um, it's already warm. What do you mean?
You must have
Oh,
got he must have got the tempura fried stuff.
Yeah,
oh, true. Good
yes,
point.
it's fried, and yeah.
Yeah,
All
no, I
right,
was
get
thinking of
Jocelyn
the
through the
like,
icebreaker and I'll take over.
oh, okay, I'll do the icebreaker. What's the icebreaker?
All right, let's just get back to this next post. Do you always tell someone when you're having an aura? I feel lonely sometimes because most of my seizures don't turn into TC. I usually don't say anything when I get a focal seizure, but they're so scary that I always want to tell someone just so I'm not going through it alone. I feel like I have to hold myself together and be quietly strong through this struggle, but my auras are daily and it's hard. Also, seizures and auras make me so tired and sick. Sometimes I wish I could mind meld with those around me so they could understand what I go through day to day. Still, I have a lot to be thankful for, and I am glad to have people who care about me. Yeah, that sounds like somebody who needs support. An aura is a seizure, though. So it is relevant to tell those around you because over time, believe it or not, those change. Something that starts out as that feeling used to go away after 30 seconds, maybe, but then starts to turn into something else. It could happen. So never just brush any of your symptoms off and try to keep those who truly care about you informed because they'll want to be informed. What do you guys think?
I tell people, but I mean, I'm an open book with everything. I mean, I tell people everything, and maybe I shouldn't, but I mean, I tell people about my seizures. I don't have as many as you guys have, um, but I tell people. I think it's important, you know.
Me
I think
too.
they need to know what's going on.
I tell people for my safety, just in case something happens and I'm around them, they know what to do.
I hadn't been telling anyone, but like I said earlier, I think my seizures are different or changing or something different than what I understood them to be. So that's gonna change and I'm gonna start telling people.
Somebody else here is, let's see, one of those comments. I can't tell them if I am. I sit there staring blank and forget how to say words. I just feel a blanket of doom cover up my consciousness and feel like an intense feeling of deja vu. Then it stops and I sweat profusely. A lot of people are saying similar to me, this is exactly what I get. So their auras are, not as aware as other ones, I guess. So everything is individual.
Yeah, I get nothing for my TCs. I just
Nothing.
nothing at all.
I seriously don't know how you guys deal with that, where you don't get any warning sign, you just drop to the floor and have a seizure. Like, that must be really hard.
Usually more broken items.
More broken items? What do you
Yeah, if
like?
you're whatever you're holding, so whatever I'm holding
Yeah.
gets like thrown across the room or something.
But I mean,
Um,
like, you must be injuring your body a lot.
Oh yeah,
last year it was my nose and my tooth.
been a while since I broke something, so I haven't really broken anything. But I chipped my tooth. I had like what's it called, like a scab right here, really long because I fell and I skidded. Um, yeah, I've had some bad injuries. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
need to
I can
worry.
only imagine the two. I've had three TCs. One of them was in this chair where I didn't fall, and so I didn't get injured. And the other
That
two, I
looks
got
like a
injured.
safe
One of them
space.
was pretty bad. Yeah, no, one of them was pretty bad. I was on. I mean, I only it was it, and I've heard stories where people like they fall and they crack a shoulder, they crack a jaw. Like, man, you guys. I, I just, oh, it's that's what would scare me is the falling and injuring myself. That's what
Longer
scares
healing.
me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's the
no,
worst part is when you
the
have a bad
healing.
one, it's just going to take longer to come back from. More stuff is going to be put off and people have to be around and looking at you all like, is this another one?
The
Yeah.
more injured
Yeah.
you are, the more people are going to try and freak out and baby you afterwards.
Yes, I agree.
And that's a headache in addition to the one you
Yes,
already have for like days after.
Yeah, yeah. You
right.
have a headache and then that's a headache.
That's why I didn't tell my mother about my last seizure until a week later.
So no wonder she babies you like that. If she can't get a hold of you after 10 minutes, you're gonna have, you know, whatever patrol showing up to your place.
Hey, I finally relented and gave her the key box code. I won't
Okay,
give her
that's
a
a step in the
key.
right direction. Yeah, she might still try to get 911 there sooner, but you know, family
She
issue.
about called 911 today.
Wow.
I'm
So you
telling
ever
you,
went for like the watch so that you can get any calls or messages right there?
yeah, that's what happened. She would text her, "Are you good?" or whatever, and I would just text back, "Yep," because I can get away with short one-word answers with her sometimes. So depends on the day, and it worked. I was in communication with a couple people. I wasn't like completely on my own for 2 days post-ictal.
I'm still just jealous of your independence. That's the only reason I'm digging into this so much because I wish.
It's yeah, it's making parts of it's making me nervous though. So
Cameras are useful. So if somebody actually wanted a little more reassurance for you
cameras are
not texting
creepy.
back right away. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And you're never gonna have that warning of when to turn the camera on if it comes down to that.
Right.
So
I
think
have
you
the
see a
cameras,
Swallow
but
Your Pride Day in the future?
who do we give the cameras at? Who do I give the access to my cameras? That's the question.
Only the one loved one that would not sell it.
Right?
I got my
That
Although
would
mom.
be
maybe that's how we make the money.
I gave mine to my mom.
that would
Oh.
be my mother, and that's not gonna happen.
Well, sometimes we'll have to swallow our pride when it comes to these hard decisions.
I am biting my tongue and swallowing it a whole lot right now.
And
But
we
see,
all admire you for that.
maybe it would be like the best reality show ever. And
Mm.
like
Fight
we're
Club?
just like, yeah, like Seizure Club. Seizure reality show, and we're just like we should be millionaires by now and we just haven't made it. I mean,
We'll call it Seizure Island, and last person to have a
yes.
seizure wins the prize.
Yes.
It's gonna be under the
Yes.
genre of sci-fi because they can't believe it.
I'm
Man, you guys, this
I'm
is how we're gonna make our millions of dollars.
Oh, this is great.
epilepsy comedy.
Yes. Yeah.
I want to talk to all the people that have had surgery because I'm considering it now and it scares the shit out of me.
What kind of
What
surgery?
kind?
Kevin and
They're
Kate.
they're it just talking about evaluate sending me up to do all the testing to figure out
Okay.
what I might even qualify for or what might work for me. But it just even the thought of it scares the shit out of me.
Well, I've always heard from anybody in their 50s, they got denied. So they consider, like, yeah, they consider that like a really young age for being eligible. I was in awe with some of the other people at the teaching hospital saying, yeah, I'm here getting all the evaluations, but I'm still in my 40s, so I'm like right on the border. And I was like, what do you mean on your 40s with like what other conditions? And those people, literally women, men, plenty at like a really young age, just in their 50s. That's the only reason they got from the, I mean, the doctor told them, but I don't remember. It's a whole team. When you do go for these evaluations, it's a big team of a lot of specialists who I mean, I know I didn't know half of what they were doing, especially because the baseline is the EEGs where they want to see you have as many seizures as possible. And, I followed through, stopped taking the meds, had a bunch of bad ones. And then they lined me up for more consultations and things in the following day. And I wasn't there. I was totally clueless on what to ask and what they were saying. And I had to take a lot of papers home. I know that. So it's a busy process. You feel really busy because you know how time goes by after bad seizures and you don't know what's going on. So get
Yeah.
paperwork, have somebody with you taking notes or recording these appointments, and be as prepared as possible for those loved ones when once they tell you if it's a ablation or the difference between what's that one, lobectomy, and one of the devices. Just maybe have an idea of what procedures are out there and what they might tell you. So even if you're kind of tired from like a
Oh,
long drive or wherever you had to go.
I've looked at all the different stuff they could do. The thing that sucks is I won't be able to, like you said, I'm gonna be after seizures and not have a lot of my brain there to talk to people. And the one person that I'm gonna get to take is my mom, and we are like oil and water. But that's who it's gotta be.
So maybe genuinely recording these appointments might be more relevant for you.
Yeah.
Mommies have selective memory sometimes. It's a
Oh,
fact.
mommies are, yeah.
Yeah.
I am one, so I know. I'm not
Exactly.
perfect.
That's the
I
only
have
reason I
my
feel
own
comfortable
issues.
saying it.
I have a lot of my own issues.
Hey, this is a strategy I get from my daughter. We started going, but when she went back to the farm for more horseback riding, she told me to, videotape stuff instead of just trying to remember it and tell her how it looked like she did on this new course or whatever. Yeah, she did not like mommy's feedback. So we have selective memory.
She didn't want to hear your interpretation.
Oh no, I couldn't even remember the horse's name. Fuck whatever I had to say. It was not true. So back to seizures. Somebody else is saying that as people said, an aura is a seizure that doesn't increase or spread the electrical problem, which is why you don't recognize those full TC feelings. Mine are epigrastic seizures, feeling of sickness rising up from your stomach. Most I've been able to call out to my wife. It is scary on your own, especially when walking on a beach. So this is back to the post that was describing the auras. Do you always tell somebody when you have an aura? And it looks like the consensus is if you have an aura, most people do. But to each his own. You know yourself best. Every situation is different.
I was just gonna say the funny thing with me about like I always say, oh, I don't feel an aura, I don't feel an aura, but also I don't ever remember like, 15 to 30 minutes ahead of time, the seizure, or after 30 minutes after time either. So maybe I do have some sort of like feeling or trigger ahead of time, just since I just don't remember that chunk of time before. Maybe I don't know it's coming. Because every time anybody that's around me, when I have one, they say I let out kind of like a weird like yelp scream type of sound, and then usually fall over and start flailing around and moving around and everything. So there's pretty much always a sound. So I don't know if, and I don't remember any that happening any single time that I've ever had a seizure. So I don't remember if I've ever had a feeling before ahead of time of it either. So how do you guys that do have it, like, how do you know, or what does it feel like to you? Is there like one certain thing that it's coming for those that have it, or how is it working?
Mine's the same. And it's like the same when I have a focal, like the feeling I had before a focal aware, it's just more intense before the TC. And it's like the stomach drop, like I'm going over a roller coaster, and and then like the weird deja vu feeling, and then like but it's just more intense. And then like this, and then I get this big like dreamy feeling, and it's for me it's not negative. Like some people say that for them that it's like a really horrible feeling, and for me it's not that it's euphoric, it's just that it's not unpleasant. It's like whoa, trippy, like the world has shifted, something weird's going on, and then bam, I'm out. But with the focal aware, I don't get the weird trippy feeling. It's either like I can't understand words, I can't speak, or I can't understand text that I'm reading. But I don't get the weird trippy, the world is a different universe feeling. Those are my seizures, at least right now. And I also get like I've had like a weird big hot flash all over my body without sweating.
I've had it like a few times where it just stuff feels kind of like weird, or you're just like a little wobbly or whatever you want to call it, like, out of it. But for me, at least, anytime that I've actually remembered that, like nothing has ever come of it. Like I've it's already been like late at night or something, bed, already laying down. So it's like anytime that it has happened, like nothing has ever happened after it. So maybe there are times where, yeah, I just don't remember it, and then it does lead up to the seizure, and I'm, yeah, I just have no clue about it. I wish just need to wear one of those little chest mounted GoPro cameras pointed at myself at all times. So
All the time.
Sometimes
This
it
one
is.
is talking about complex hallucinations
Oh,
that
Mark had his
my
hand up.
auras. Oh yeah, my bad. You good? Okay. Yeah, we take care of that. So they range from these complex hallucinations they're describing. They range from just things looking off in terms of size to things moving and colors changing up to full-blown reality perception changes like feeling or seeing things upside down, faces looking distorted, words being jumbled up. I'm wondering if anyone else has this. Usually the auras have some level of visual hallucination, but I've noticed that the more complex ones only happen before tonic-clonics. Then I'll see houses shrink and expand and change colors and move like they're waving. I'll see things turning and morphing into all sorts of creatures. Okay, I've never had anything that complex. And they have a flare on there saying cryptogenic focal epilepsy. Cryptogenic. I don't know. What's your input on really complicated hallucinations like that for seizures?
Well, the shrinking and expanding stuff, I mean, that's really trippy, but that made me think of the Alice in Wonderland stuff, but I have no idea about any of the other stuff. That's what it made me think of, but I have no idea.
Oh, and cryptogenic just means that it's a partial epilepsy where the cause of the seizures can't be found. So, shoot, I guess I have that one too. No, that a lot of us do. Anybody ever been able to narrow down the cause of their seizures right away? I mean, other than a TBI, the
Me,
test never brought any answers.
me. Um, ever since I was a child, after my car accident, had the traumatic brain injury over here. I guess they had been keeping track of it my whole childhood. I didn't know I was doing all that testing, but yeah, they kept track of it. There's records that go back saying that I've had encephalopathy on the right side of my brain since I was a child. Yeah, so once I had the seizures at school, was it 15 years later or something like that? No, 11 years later. Yeah, they already knew what it was. Like, well, they were just waiting for it basically. You got epilepsy, it's there. Not gonna avoid it. Eventually, it's gonna get its head out there.
One of the comments is saying my brother can't watch paranormal activity movies or anything about possession anymore because on my second episode, in the middle of the night, I apparently walked into his room, knocked on his door looking like I was possessed, eyes glazed over, mumbling things. When he opened the door, I then walked over to the next room, our mom's, who wasn't there that night, and walked in and proceeded to have a seizure. It was funny to hear about it later on, at least. And they said it was definitely a seizure that landed them in the hospital, so it was one of the worst ones. So that's something that can definitely look trippy.
I guess with
But
me,
that's
they're
more traumatic,
theorizing. With me, they're theorizing it was the brain hernia that, but well, my skull, I don't remember what it's called, but the skull didn't close properly, so there was an opening and that led to the brain hernia, so that's probably what caused my epilepsy.
best you're ever gonna get it, or in theory, is that theory.
That's the best we're gonna get, exactly. Do you know
Medical
what caused
professionals will
yours?
never admit. Nope,
No.
no
Oh.
idea. They chalked it up to whatever I did in my teens because I
What's
couldn't
that
remember enough to
mean?
tell them. That's what I was wondering too. Are you gonna seriously try to get me to believe that like those couple of shots that one time, like
Like
yeah, they're
shots
chalking
of
it up to
like
that kind of stuff.
like you meaning like you did a couple of shots of alcohol and that's what did it.
Oh, we were stocked on the Captain Morgan, I know that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
so who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But no, I mean, okay. But I also thought that like they also just don't know a lot about epilepsy and that brains can just malfunction. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And being diagnosed in the like later pediatric years, I think they were very picking their words very carefully with when parents are
Okay.
involved, because if there's any suggestion that maybe the parents could have prevented this, or some of the activities that they let me do throughout childhood could have been an
They don't want
influencing
to
factor.
blame. Yeah, they don't want, and they want parents to feel bad, like they did anything wrong. That makes sense.
Exactly.
That
Even when
makes
they did.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when they did.
Oh no.
No,
Not at
no,
all.
no, no. The thing is all parents, no one is perfect. No parents are perfect. I'm
Mm-mm.
not a
But
parent.
you try telling any parent who's done like 30 years in law enforcement that, and they'll shoot you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I've screwed up my kids.
See, and we can willingly admit that. But some
And I
careers
got
out there,
pretty darn good kids.
Well,
that's
I've been to
great.
therapy and I learned the difference between big T trauma and little T trauma. And basically, every single person that exists has little T trauma because we were children. And we've all been traumatized by our parents because no one is perfect. No one can be perfect. No
That's
parent, no one learned how to be a parent. They've, anyways.
they don't come with instructions.
Exactly.
And
No
then
one
try
ha
learning how to parent on your own when you don't even remember your own fucking childhood.
I'm not a parent. I would have been horrible at it. I would have screwed up kids even I would have been I like children. It's not that I don't like children, but I would not have been a good parent. I would have tried hard, but I would have screwed them up, not on purpose. I would have tried very hard, but anyways, I don't need to go off on another rant.
I think you would have been a great mom.
I would have tried very hard to be a good mom, and I would have still done things wrong.
There were some people who I was like, I don't know. Then the baby just turned her into a different person, and I've never seen this side of you.
I would have been really stressed out.
That mother side,
Yeah.
it'll kick
I am
in.
a
I don't
good
know.
cat mom.
Cat mom.
I have a cat, but I
Okay.
had two and then I had to give one of them away. So,
Mm.
but I don't know what that says about me.
That's
Hey,
making tough
Jason,
decisions with a level head.
Hey Pookie,
how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I just took a nap and just woke up, so I'm feeling all right.
The icebreaker is, what if you were Batman? I'm just kidding. I forgot what the icebreaker was.
Mm.
But yeah, what if you were Batman? And then I'll get the icebreaker for you when I remember.
Uh, I would literally fly anywhere across the world.
Batman can't fly.
What he can? I mean, like, have you saw Batman and Superman lately?
Batman doesn't fly.
Batman got gadgets. He can
Oh,
go
it's a cape.
aerial if he wants
Okay.
to.
Yeah, over the
He doesn't.
Atlantic is a lot.
He doesn't
But
need to. He doesn't need to fly. The Batmobile goes fast enough on ground.
So do you have your bat mask on?
I got something here. It says my friend robbed me during a seizure. I had a seizure yesterday at my best friend's house on his bathroom floor, and rather than help me,
The
she
fuck?
took the money out of my wallet that was for my birthday to use for drugs. She was sober for a while too. I busted her when I noticed it was missing, and her boyfriend ended up telling the truth. I lost my only friend to my birthday money. Have any of you ever had anything stolen from you while in a seizure? I mean, you can literally die from a seizure, and people are more concerned about money for drugs. I thought this was my best friend. The question is, have you guys ever had anything stolen from you while in a seizure?
I think that's one of the
Not
facts
me
that I would try to
personally.
forget.
Come again?
I was just saying that if it had happened, that's probably one of the facts that I would choose not to write down or try to forget.
Mm,
Easy enough after.
yeah. My best friend, I haven't talked to him in years. Finally got in contact, said hello. How you doing? Okay, this, that. Next call was, can I borrow some money? Give it to you when I get back paid. I haven't heard since. I know paydays happen at least once a month. So, but hey, took the risk. So essentially, my friend robbed me too. But the first comment says, I've been lucky not to ever have that happen, but the anger and betrayal must be awful. Not only were you extremely vulnerable already, but her actions are ludicrous. Another one says, I'm so sorry this happened to you. This is a problem with addictions. Even if it's been several years of sobriety, relapse is always possible. My brother was an alcoholic, drug addict who stole anything that wasn't tied down. This is just sad. Consider ALANON or NARC, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. If you have been in your life around addicts, it will help you understand what's going on. Be well. Yeah, I guess I'm the only one probably been robbed.
It wasn't during a seizure. Um, it was, there was the guy who first told me that I was having seizures, but I don't know if he would necessarily think of it as robbing me, and I didn't necessarily think of it that way at the time. But I was separated from the entire nest egg windfall that I had from selling the house that I owned um, back in like 2020, just before um, I had moved up to South Dakota. Um, Not really comfortable talking about the number, but it was painful to lose that friendship. Um, and my house and my retirement. Yeah, I guess that was my retirement technically. So yeah,
Sorry,
that
Mom.
yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Damn,
Yeah.
man. Sorry to hear that, bro.
Damn. You know,
Jason, the icebreaker is I still don't remember. Kate, you got it? Come on, somebody has to remember.
You're asking a group of epileptics, man. Come on. I honestly don't remember either.
well, like, well, like, I think, what was the question? I think that was, I think I heard well, I don't know about the question, but I think it was a question before. I was gonna actually say something about that, but you know, just like, I think it's part of me the reason why I moved and didn't tell anybody because like just like I remember just like it was just I mean like just I mean like there were like friends of mine that actually were talking about like some political stuff and at first I didn't want nothing to do with it and at that time at that time like one of my family members had just died and you know and I had to sit through that all day and just like I did it all day and just was just and I was completely paranoid. Didn't want to be on my phone for a whole day. Didn't want to be on my computer for a whole day. I just woke up around like I just woke up around like it was like like it was just like the Nightmare on Elm Street.
What I hear about Nightmare on Elm Street?
Was that scary?
Uh, no, no, it's not scary. Like, I mean, like, it was a movie like back then. I mean, I think they have it now on Tubi. I think they do, uh, but it's not scary. I believe.
So, got what this says: 8 months seizure free after epilepsy surgery and accepted into graduate school. My 23-year-old son had his left hippocampus removed 8 months ago, tomorrow, and hasn't had a seizure since. He was just accepted into grad school for math last week, and he is ecstatic. I'm so proud of him. He's been through so much and has been so strong. I'm a happy mama here. Someone talk to me. Got one that says boyfriend blaming me for seizures. I recently started dating someone who mentioned seizures. I've asked what can I do to help, and if you ever have one, he didn't want to talk about it. Yesterday after a walk, he texted me saying he had a seizure during the walk and that I caused it and my vibes negatively during the walk. I was feeling anxious and hopping around with the dog with a lot of energy. I had no idea. I couldn't tell he had it. He was just very silent the whole time, saying his chest hurt. I feel terrible, but I'm also very confused that he didn't communicate to me that he was having a seizure, so I could not stop to take care of him, which I would have done immediately. Any help or advice from people who experience seizures as well? I don't think she did anything wrong. She didn't know.
I'm sorry, I was honestly reading something else. I really did not. I
Um,
really did not pay much attention. Do you have a quick summary of that, or is it too long?
no, it wasn't too long. It was too long to read again, but I got a decent summary for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
a
My
girl,
bad,
she
my
was
bad.
having seizures.
Yeah.
She was spending time with her boyfriend, and they were doing stuff that I guess could take a lot of energy. So he said she caused a seizure because she wanted to do things like run around playing with the dog. And yeah, she didn't know a seizure was going on, but he just kept saying his chest was hurting. So yeah, after that, she's like, he's blaming me for seizures, blah blah blah. So
Yeah, that's not fair to her at all. I don't see how that's her fault at all. If anything, that would make it better. It should make it better, right? Like if it's a good relationship, that should make less stress in his life and kind of have his mind relax. Like if he's still having them, he's obviously, yeah, talk to a doctor first. Don't just blame the person closest to you, which to be fair, we can all be like that sometimes, right? Like post seizure, or like right when we get grumpy, we get, or maybe it's just certain me, maybe that's me. Anyway, you just kind of get angry at the person that's closest to you right after a seizure,
yeah,
sometimes. So maybe that's why he's like he says stuff and he doesn't actually mean it, and they haven't fully talked it out. There's a lot of ways that sounds like that could go, but it sounds like they definitely need to talk about it and pair up on it a little bit better, because it sounds like they could work it out for sure.
yeah. Let's go to some of these comments. First one says, "Hey, this man is abusive. Run away now. No one would ever blame a seizure on another person unless, like, the other person was in charge of their beds or something. This man is not someone who you should be dating." These are epileptics telling someone with epilepsy. I mean, without epilepsy for advice. I have seizures. I have never blamed my girlfriend. That is awful. I also feel it's very important for your partner to know what to do, to help you. So I'm baffled he didn't at least give you a resource to learn about about what to do, and that he didn't tell you what he was having when he was having a seizure. This sounds really abusive and manipulative, and I would bring it up to him. And if he continues, you should reconsider your relationship. Feel free to reach out to me. One more comment. It says there are great resources for seizure first aid on the Epilepsy Foundation website. Please be aware that having a seizure disorder does not necessarily make you somewhat kinder person or a good partner. If your partner is blaming you for your seizures, for their seizures, he will likely blame you for other things that also not communicated poorly about. Anybody ever had anyone blame them for their seizures?
And that's a really easy thing to agree with if you're just kind of playing that part in the relationship of taking the blame and going along with it and letting the abuse continue. So I'm with what a lot of those comments said.
Yeah, like if you're with, like if you're with somebody for so long, then I could see a reason why, but at the same time, you shouldn't blame somebody for your seizures because when you blame somebody for your seizures, it's gonna make like a lot worse for your seizures. I mean, I don't know if someone been through that way, but like I've been through that way since 2018, the in the beginning of 2018.
Yeah, I guess it depends on like the exact words that he's like saying to her. There's different ways to blame people, right? How vicious I guess you can be with with your words.
He said it was
That,
her
that
negative vibe.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's hard to say exactly. He's just saying like you're causing me a little more stress. I think you're adding to it. Then that's not as bad as just him being like, you're a this and this, and you're the reason I'm this, and yelling at her. And there's a big difference between that. You can't say it's an abusive relationship. I mean, the human mind is kind of like technology. You only, you don't know until you know. Like obviously all of us know how to turn on a cell phone and know how to like turn on a computer, but when we were 2 years old, we didn't. Now it's completely common knowledge, right? So for right now, this guy has no common knowledge about like what causes his epilepsy. He either needs to talk to his doctor, talk to his girlfriend, or realize he's just straight up an asshole and let his girlfriend live her life.
Let's start with an apology.
Well, yeah, I think it's if this happened outside of a seizure state, outside of a postictal state, um, then
that
I
too. I forgot
think
to add
that
that.
it's kind of, even though it's about a seizure, it's probably indicative of the nature of the individual and their dynamic, their relationship, and what things might be like moving forward. So I would consider that kind of a warning flag, a red flag being raised.
Yeah, I mean, like I've mentioned a couple of times before. One of the reasons I'm no longer married. My wife just straight up told me I'm a burden to everybody around me because of my epilepsy. I'm like, really? This is the relationship I'm in? This is the person I married? That's why we're no longer together, but hey, yeah, exactly. That's why I was trying to give the other person the benefit of the just benefit of the doubt because I don't fully know their situation. And I guess I went kind of through that in a similar way. So I gave that person the benefit of the doubt for a while. It didn't turn out well. So hopefully it turns out better for that person. That's all I'm hoping, really.
It says, do you freak out when you get an aura? Only had 2 seizures, but it's pretty clear exactly how I feel about after an hour or 90 minutes before the seizure. And I have Ativan to take when I get an aura, but the second I feel any of those symptoms, and the first one feels almost like hunger, but not quite. Basically, just panic. It could be an impending seizure. It could also be actual hunger, or just got a headache or nausea from the morning pills, but I still freak out, still freak the hell out. I also just moved out on my own and I'm terrified of having a seizure alone, but times before, I've been very lucky that someone was there with me. Does the panic ever end? I know it's vague subject or vague question, but this is really scary. I had a seizure in November and one in March. I'm hoping there's just a fluke, but they're still recent enough that they're really scaring me. I did last night, and I had to get up and find my pen because I felt nauseous and I had the impending doom feeling. And it was in my sleep for some reason. I woke up out of my sleep like this, was nauseous and all that. I had to wake up just to smoke because it was very, I think the word be unnerving.
I've woken up just incredibly nauseous before. I don't know how severe your nausea was last night, but I've been to the point where I've had to postpone taking my morning medication because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to keep it down.
Yeah, that's how mine was. I was like, whatever I have down, I feel like it's coming up. And I feel like I could smell it for some reason. That's a weird thing to say. I could feel like I could smell what I ate earlier. And I was like, yeah, if I don't smoke and this nausea go away, I'm gonna throw up. That wasn't gonna be good. Is that odd to say? You can smell it. Like I smell it. I know what's coming up if this happens. I think I ate like 4 hours earlier. So yeah.
Yeah, I could, yes.
The only comment says highly recommend getting an Apple Watch. It can detect falls and alert your emergency contacts. Alerts 911, but isn't always accurate. So I also recommend Service Dog. Wish you the best health. Yeah, so it has freaked
James,
me
you were
out.
gonna say something?
I just wanted to ask, since we were talking about nausea, I was wondering if anybody else has taken, while in the hospital, ER, whatever, Regolin as a nausea med. Regolin, Zofran is the more common one, or that's the other one that's that I'm always given now that I take. Regolin was the other one. I was wondering if anybody else took it because one of my first couple of hospital stays for my pancreatic issues back in like 2010, 2011 or so. Obviously, I had a lot of nausea from that, and they gave me that. And the first night I was there, I woke up in the middle of the night. I had no clue. It was a dark hospital room, different room, obviously, that I'm used to sleeping in. No clue where I was, no clue why I was there. Like I saw the IV hooked up to me and I'm sitting there freaking out. And yeah, it was the nausea meds that just screwed with me. I never took it again. They switched me to Zofran and I never had like that same reaction again.
Reglan,
So I was
metoclopramide.
wondering if it like messed with anybody else, like if it happened to do with like the seizure meds I was taking, or if it's just I was allergic to just that one medication on its own, or yeah.
Did you mention it was Reglan, metoclopramide they gave you?
No, there's Reglan was what they gave me as the nausea med, and then Zofran is what the name of the other one is that I now take when I'm there for my
Well, it might be
other
relevant here that Reglan is a bad one. It says the drug is known risk factor for increasing seizure frequency and severity in people with epilepsy and is contraindicated for nausea for any epileptic.
Hmm.
Zofran is one of
Wow.
the safe ones.
I'm surprised they gave it to me to begin with then. Yeah, maybe that's why that's why it fucked with my head so much that
Back
first
in the
day I
ER
was
too.
there. Well, at least it was like, yeah, I was there in the hospital and safe. It wasn't, like the pill form that I took home and then had to wander around my house and figure out what the fuck was going on my own.
Hey, you might want to tell somebody about that because
Oh, this
that
like I
is
said,
that is their slip up.
this was like 2010, 2011. So every time I go in there, it's on my record now that I'm allergic to it and I can't take it and all of that. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely covered and safe, but
I got something here. It says I had my first seizure yesterday and I'm traumatized. I don't remember much, but my house cleaner heard me making noises and saw me frozen in the entryway. As she approached, I collapsed and began seizing. She called 911, and luckily, my small children didn't witness it. I had no warning. Keep replaying what I did in my mind that I remember. CT scan clear, MRI, and without contrast clear, full blood workup. Only thing that showed low hemoglobin 9 and low red blood cells and the hematocrit. Yeah. They took my license and I need to follow up with my neurologist, which I couldn't get into for a month. Anyone else have any advice? I can barely move today and I feel like I'm experiencing such anxiety. I take Prozac and ADHD meds only, nothing new. I had eaten and was hydrated.
Those are just going to be normal feelings for now. Those physical feelings, that's very, yeah, it's pretty painful after a seizure. Um, go see your any doctor, of course, obviously, and it's just wait and see from here. I mean, that's a terrible period. I always that when I was diagnosed, I hated that was an uncomfortable period. But yeah, it's just wait for the diagnosis. Even your EEG and all that. Get the full works. Do all that. Go through the yeah.
I can relate to this, but from experience, it'll get better. You simply have to live like you were before and watch for signs. Don't be afraid to reach out and let these feelings of stress out, as stress and anxiety kept in will only make things much worse. I found that when feeling super anxious and stressed, to take a few minutes to sit and think about what's happening and what I'm feeling. Usually it's just being overwhelmed and anxious and continue moving forward. You got this. Another one says, I recommend seeing a therapist. I still have flashbacks to my major seizures like a stereotypical NAM vet in a movie. You live with those memories, get some help processing them. Is it normal to feel stupid after a seizure? First seizure in 7 days, I feel stupid, like I'm objectively dumb. It's taking a lot out of me to understand basic things being taught to me. I'm a high school senior and had my first actual class today post seizure, and it was in English. I'm usually 2 steps ahead of the class, but today it took me a lot just to stay on track. My head started hurting like crazy halfway through because my teacher asked me to hand out some worksheets to my classmates. And 32 sheets, and only about 11, 32 seats, and only about 11 classmates present. I gave the sheets to the 9, and the 2 that left were like, WTF? We didn't get our sheets. So I'm utterly useless and I can't even hand out worksheets. My body is also twitching. Neurologist says that it's normal, headache and twitching. But I didn't think to talk to him about feeling dumb. Sorry for the wall text, but I'm scared right now. Is this normal? It's normal to be scared, yes.
Yeah, well, it's also normal to have a bit of cognitive fog immediately after a seizure. Um, and a little bit of a little bit difficulty absorbing learning new issues. It sounds particularly difficult to handle in this specific context in high school because it's unavoidable to compare yourself to other people around you and to be, acutely aware of how different you have been from before the seizure to after the seizure and compared to all of your peers. So that, I don't know, that must make it that much more difficult to deal with there. I didn't have to deal with um, such an abrupt issue back in high school. Mine kind of built up to a more of a crescendo later in life. But it's kind of an easier said than done, but don't compare yourself too much to your peers. Focus more on your own brain, your own mind, your own healing. That's what's most important at the moment immediately post seizure, more than catching up to your classmates, more than, being the top of the class and all that. You just need to um, recover and heal. So kind of a cliche statement on my part, but don't I don't know. I lost it. Maybe it's not so
It happens.
cliche. Maybe that is the cliche. I lost it. That's kind of a cliche for epileptics. But yeah,
And if
living
anybody chooses to
example
focus on
right
that,
here.
then they're not for you. Yeah. I still think that was an excellent point.
I got something that says, oh, this was a comment too about feeling stupid. A few of these comments. One said, yeah, it's common to feel this way after one. I always do. Hope it clears up quickly, and I hope you feel better soon. It's okay to take some time off of school too. Don't be afraid to let teachers know what's going on so they can give you a little break from anything as well. Same thing happened to me. Don't be afraid to tell your teachers, classmates what's going on. People will be much more understanding of silly mistakes you make if they know you have a literal brain damage. Another one says, after my last seizure, I was terrified, like clinging to my spouse and my sleep terrified. When we normally sleep under separate blankets, I'm still trying to work past it. So last year on July 25th of 2021, this is old, I went into Big Lots behind my job, collapsed and had a 20-minute seizure and was put into a 4-day long induced coma. It was random. We think it happened because I'm immunocompromised and got meningitis the month before. I continued to have small partial absence seizures. We don't know if they were seizures because of the VEEG hasn't come back yet. I woke up on July 29th, which was conveniently my 18th birthday, with a tube down my throat, terrified that I'd been kidnapped and unable to move. I really remember having the tube pulled out and finally looking around to see if my mother was there. I'll never forget the fear of clutching her hands so tightly and having her tell me what happened. my life changing in an instant, and no one understood or thought it was a big deal that I put on strong seizure meds, had memory loss, trouble waking up. Immediately after waking up, the worst of all, my mother told my abuser, who I'd gone NC with, what's that, no contact? I've gone NC with what was what happened, and I was vulnerable enough to let him back into my life despite knowing how bad his abuse was. I luckily and stubbornly fought to go to college just for a month later, after I spent many nights terrified and crying on my bed from partial seizures and flashbacks of what happened. My mother told me that when I tried to get an MRI on the 27th, I went into cardiac arrest and was even given fentanyl. Almost a year later, the PTSD persists, and I started counseling for a few days ago, but I knew that I wanted to go into big lots and allow myself to feel emotions, however intense they are. 2 weeks before the 27th, and I looked at the calendar and realized I'm scared. This is like trauma from abuse because you never know when an event like this will happen again. I'm having trouble surrendering my emotions and don't want to resort to bad habits to cope. What can I do to cope? I don't want to cope with drug use and self-harm, but what else do I do? I can't sit here and sob for weeks. I'm sick, so I can't work out. Don't have friends. How can I cope? There was 3 questions in there, and they all asked how to cope. How are you guys coping days covered?
So they were clearly preparing for the end of their life at 18 years old, I think, if I heard that right.
I think
So,
they were just saying like the date that it happened.
oh, 2018. Okay, sorry. But at this point, if outside, not like I can speak from experience, but I guess getting any affairs in order that you can, assets that you have, children you're leaving behind, making sure care and things like that are straight might provide some peace of mind. And I mean, depending on how the situation is, maybe if a bucket list type thing allows, if you're not impatient. What do you guys think?
Eesh, that's morbid. Uh, um, I don't know, man. We're all going through this shit together, so and everyone's alone. Everyone's in a lot of pain. I just don't know what to tell you. So I'll give you the same answer I give everyone else. Find a hobby, find something to do. At a certain point, I know we're disabled, but there's a crossing line where we have a certain responsibility to do things for ourselves, to not be lonely, to get out there into the real world. So I don't know. It's on you.
Couple comments here, a few good ones. One says, learning about why Jesus helped me with my bouts of PTSD and anxiety. There's great podcasts out there that made huge difference in my life. One here says, I wanted to say thank you for your honesty about this. I just recently lost last week, had 2 10-minute events in the same day, and I don't remember any of them. I was in the hospital for 4 days, and to be honest, I don't remember any of it. It's like you told this story of what happened from people that witnessed it. They don't have a reason. They don't have a reason for them. So I should be thankful, but it's just unsettling that I just don't remember anything of it. And I do feel so emotional, just like I'm struggling accepting that first it happened. Now I'm taking meds and whether they will ever happen again. But reading your posts kind of gives me hope that I may never know, but at least I'm not the only one. How do you know you're having a seizure? I'm curious and, of course, paranoid in my own sake. What is the experience like and the effects you notice? How do you know you're having a seizure? James. James. Hey, James. How do you know you're having a seizure?
When I wake up on the floor, really, really sore and just with a headache. I honestly have no, like I was saying with about the one from yesterday, I had no clue I had even taken a shower or anything. I don't remember like a half hour ahead of time or after or anything. So I honestly don't know. That's what I was thinking, like, when you guys brought up the emergency meds, and I was like, why haven't I heard of these? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, my doctor probably thought it was never really like a major thing for me. I never know when they're coming on. So what's a rescue med gonna do?
Prevent
Right?
you
Like
from going into
it's
status
just
epilepticus.
what was that? Sorry?
A rescue med is intended for even those who don't know get auras when a seizure is coming on, because if your seizure is going on for more than 5 minutes, I think is the standard, they tell you to have someone prepared to know when to administer the rescue med to prevent you from going into status epilepticus.
No, I get that it'll still physically work for me, but who who would be around me
No,
to do that? Like I'd have to, I mean, physically, yes, it's possible, but I'd have to go around to like everybody that I work with and every time I hang out with somebody new, be like, just in case this happens, here's this. And I mean, yeah, it's a thing that can be done, obviously, but once again, it's just one more thing that, is a drag for this whole situation, right? Like,
yeah, the only time I considered administering it to myself was during cluster. Everybody was out and, checking in consistently. And I knew I had more than 2.5 an hour, and it was just focals. I came back, nothing was, injured, but the headache was there.
yeah,
And if they're happening that consistently, that's the only other time I would consider it is if the cluster of focals can go generalized.
yeah. The best I would, yeah, probably be able to do on my own is once I finally came to after a while after the seizure, then I would probably just finally maybe, grab it, use the nasal spray or, whatever form it is, and then do that real quick just to be safe. But yeah, if there's nobody else around me really, then there's what's the point of having it on you, right? Like you can carry a gun, but if you have no bullets.
Well, the next best thing is the EMTs.
Yeah, of course. That's if they're there. And yeah, I have the little medical bracelet, like I've mentioned before, since we had talked about. I got that on my watch chain now and everything that I always have with me. So, um, little more help.
Hey, Andrea, you have to keep us up to date if your new cat gives you any kind of behavioral, I don't know, indications of a seizure after it happens or something. Cats can definitely pick up on that just as well as dogs.
I'm mostly just hoping that it helps give me a reason to get out of bed in the morning.
I'm gonna come wake you up every morning.
I don't have any problem waking up. That's not the problem. It's the matter of whether I want to get up and do anything.
No, I'm saying it's gonna come in there and wake you up for food.
Yeah, that's the thing with a cat. I have to get up now.
It's gonna be like meow, meow, meow until you get up.
They are very particular about their food habits. They want their meal times.
My mom's dog has a metal bowl and she'll just flip it, and you'll hear it hitting the cement a bunch of times. Then, that's how she tells you it's time.
That's motivational.
I find it quite rude.
She's just a motivational speaker.
Um, Jason, you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
How do you know when you're having a seizure?
So like so when I know when I have a seizure, I believe that like when I get up, when I wake up, and then like I actually felt like I actually fell down, or I actually fell down, just I mean like not as like felling like not like falling down, but like as if like I hit something, and then like if I hit something, and then like as if nothing happened. But and then after when I get the seizures, I would lay on a sofa.
Me, I don't know until I wake up and I'm like, damn, I had a seizure. There's no signs. Um, just happens. Few of these comments. One says, for most of us, we simply aren't there when it happens. It starts with the loss of consciousness. Part of the seizure that people see, I don't experience that. The agony comes later. Another one says, I can't tell about I'm about to have one. It's an overwhelming sense of deja vu washes over me when I'm actively having one. Well, I'm just gone. There's no end quote me to know I'm having one. Yeah. Once it's late, it's too late. Another one said, I just only know I've had one when I notice I'm on the ground and have a ring of people around me. Right. I just had my first 3 in 2 days after age 60. All 3 times the left side of my mouth started to quiver. My head and eyes started turning back and forth, and one of my arms started jerking. I could tell it was happening, but couldn't stop it. Stayed conscious through 2 and lost it during 1. Yeah. It's a way to know if you're having a seizure or not. Has anybody ever told any of you guys that you scream or you make noises? I've been told that I screamed.
Yeah, let me, there we go. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I think you might have been eating or something, but every pretty much anybody that's ever been around me when I've had one, they say that I always let out this kind of like a higher pitched like yelp or a scream real quick. Just kind of like I don't even know how to describe it, because they don't know how to describe it to me, so it would be like third hand, hearing the sound, but just kind of like like type of weird like loud scream. And then they end up usually hearing like, a thump or a thud, or, if I'm standing up, or like, like I said yesterday morning when I was in the shower, clearly that's a loud, slam onto a hard surface. So that's when my dad heard it. But generally they can hear, yeah, at first, because I usually let out the scream, and then they're just like, oh crap. And then that gives them like a heads up to like go down the hallway and come see what happened to me.
Yeah, I have not been screaming. I've heard about like whining and stuff afterwards, but the screaming, no. But there is a post here about it. It says, does anyone else scream before collapsing into a grand mal seizure? I've been told before collapsing and going down into a grand mal seizure, I typically scream. I have no memory of this, but it's happened twice now, and I was curious if anyone else has experienced this. I know people typically describe a sense of heightened fear prior to the seizure, but I don't get any forewarning or anything. I just wake up and get told everything.
That sounds like my twin posting right now. That's like my exact that's me right there.
Let's get
I,
to a
sc-
few.
I scream before it happens. I have no memory of before, after, during. I just get told what happens after, and that's the exact same thing. That's crazy.
I wouldn't say crazy, but it's got something here. It says it's called an ictocry, and happens because when your muscles tense up during a seizure, it forces the air through your vocal cords. Another one here says it's normal to make a loud groaning noise before a grand mal or a tonic-clonic seizure. Essentially, what happens first is your entire body stiffens. So think of it as times first thing in the morning when you stretch and everything kind of tightens up, and you might make a noise during that. But in this situation, more so a sound of relief. But during a grand mal, after the stretch, in quote stretch, your body goes limp, you drop to the ground and convulse. Hope that makes sense. Does
Jeff,
makes a
what were
lot
you
of
gonna say?
sense.
I just wanted to say that my love is coming home with sushi for me. So I'm going to
Nice.
say goodnight to everyone, and I will see you all next week.
All
Okay,
right.
you gotta use that selfie
Have a
stick
good
next
night.
week.
Hi,
Dragon
Jeff.
roll next time.
Right,
Dragon roll
yeah, right.
next time. It's eel. It's delicious. We're in the comments right here. One says my brother makes a loud scream out every single time. Another one says I lose consciousness, but before I seize, people have told me that I make a loud, scary noise at the beginning of it, so I guess it is. My first two seizures were super bad, grand mals in my sleep, and apparently before each one I screamed bloody murder like I was being stabbed. Nowadays, I apparently loud groan more than a scream. My son doesn't scream per se, but has a loud groan grunt. Yes, I would call it a scream. It's more of a fearful groan. One more. It says, yeah, I hate it. Like in public, people are always staring enough without me going ill. It's normal to pee on yourself after a seizure. I have recently had a seizure. I've never had seizures before, but I had one. And one I was admitted to the energy room. I peed on myself twice. I asked my family to bring clothes and hid them, never telling them I peed. I never got a chance to ask the doctor if this was normal to do that before I got discharged. To anyone who has seizures often, is this normal to pee? I don't do such
Maybe not
things.
after the seizure, but during the seizure, plenty of people, do
I'm
that.
gonna say it's completely normal for people to pee during seizures. I know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've done it. I've done it a couple of times during seizures, but a lot of times too, I wake up like really sweaty. So like the first time it happened to me, I just was just like, man, I am super sweaty this time. And then like, I tried to like finally stand up out of where I was laying, and it was just completely way, way more damp down there. And I was just like, oh, okay,
damn,
I don't think I don't think that's only a sweat down there. So
damp down there.
it's
Okay. Yeah.
trying to be proper. But yeah, I mean, I guess obviously it's different for everybody, but I wouldn't say it's something that you should be afraid that's going to happen every single time you have one, but it's a possibility for the person asking the question at least.
It's definitely not abnormal.
So do you guys anybody collect vinyls or vinyl?
I was just about to ask you if those were vinyl.
Yeah.
I don't collect them, but technically my parents still have like their original albums from like kids. So we have like original prints of like Beatles, like Magical Mystery Tour, Sergeant Pepper's Band. Got
That's
like
what they want to
original
cash out.
like from back
I want to
back in
get
the
that
day.
too.
they had this one, it's a Led Zeppelin one. I can't remember which one it is, but I have a picture of it, dude. We broke this out with one night with my friends at a party, and it's like this, like literally, it's like 6 by 4 foot, like paper poster that came folded up in the record of Led Zeppelin, like on stage, like playing. It's a picture of them, and it's literally like it took two people to hold it. Like it was wider than my arm span. I'm not the biggest guy, but I mean, still, that's a big, that's a big poster, right? So it was, yeah, they got some old stuff in there.
Okay. I was gonna do the unboxing, but it's not necessarily boxed, so there goes
Which one? You
nothing.
gotta let us see what color that one is.
It's so pretty. It's beautiful. I haven't even seen it in person yet, but yeah.
You're gonna have to excuse my ignorance, but who is that? Yeah,
It's the
I'm not.
weekend.
Oh, okay. I never knew what they looked like, dude. I just always listened to them. I never like watched them
Never,
or seen them. That's hella funny.
never know what he looks like. Oh my.
Damn.
Okay, okay, I got it. I got something.
When did you pick that up?
Came in the mail yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, how's the
Dude,
package?
I had no clue what that dude looked like. Holy crap.
Yes. Come again. Come again. Oh yeah, this is nice.
Nice.
Which is that? And then of course, he always has the ones that come from one of these angles.
You actually break them out and play them?
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh, that looks awesome.
There's the beauty behind the madness. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, I was trying to put it away, not holding it up. I don't know if you
Nice.
listened to the weekend, you probably wouldn't know what album it was if I just named it. The Kissland album. I don't know if you know that one, but it's very colorful. Uh, James.
Yeah, what's up, man? Sorry about that.
Uh,
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
They're a lot more colorful than they used to be.
Yeah, they are.
Is that Japanese on the side?
I have no idea what this is. I should actually look at it with the phone.
I
The phone can translate. Um,
I think that looks more like Korean to me, but I am fluent in neither, so do not quote me on that.
I've heard that Korean is more like roundy shapes, like curvy. That's a bad way to describe it, but
Yeah, it's hard to describe. That's why I'm just like, I
yeah.
think that's what it looked like,
okay,
but
what about this? Can you tell by like those words or
Another Reddit
That,
does describe it as Japanese.
I'm pretty sure
yeah,
that one's
that looks like
Japanese there.
Japanese to me.
Yeah. The other one I just
That's what
wasn't as
people on
sure on,
another Reddit
but
describe it as.
uh, Okay. The final one hasn't been opened yet. Yeah. This one is Chris Brown, but I like this album. Oh, this one is huge. I don't know if you guys know who Chris Brown is. This is
Didn't he date Rihanna for a little bit?
yeah. These are really decorative. That's why these shits cost so much. But where is the disc?
That is, yeah. You're not just buying the album, you're buying the artwork and the all the time that goes into that.
Well, yeah, the process of creating the dies for the vinyl records themselves is pretty difficult and time consuming. They have to create those little etches and everything on the actual metal piece that they use to stamp each individual disc. So it's even the actual disc, not just all the extra artwork, but the copy itself is really time consuming. That's why they put all of the extra work into the artwork, because compared to the actual disc itself, most of that artwork really doesn't cost them that much to create. So,
Yeah.
really, why
Album
not
Georgia.
from their perspective, make it look as fancy as possible,
This is a
because
special
it's
edition.
really the process of making it that's so expensive, and that doesn't change whatever color disc they choose. They can put whatever color dyes in there that they like. So, so
It's a
yeah,
special edition of some, I forgot. I think it's the second special edition, they said. 3 discs. This is a lot of songs.
those are some of the most beautiful discs I have ever seen.
Thank you. When I go find albums, I try to find the collector's edition colors. And I mean the other ones, the Kissland, that was a gift, so I didn't go look for the special edition. But I still got the special edition.
Please take your medication as prescribed or whatever works for you. We're not doctors.